like to try to make things as simple as possible, and so of course this red is signaling an area that is a warm air mass. But we have approaching a cold air mass, so a cold air mass is coming into contact with the warm air mass. What ends up happening is the warm air is forced up. And you can see that at the bottom, you can see how it wedges underneath the warm air mass, in which that cold air mass quickly lifts up the warm air, which then continues to go vertically, causing that cumulus cloud to become more of a cumulonimbus cloud, a vertical growing cloud. One characteristic to note with a rather intense cold front that really wedges underneath a warm air mass is what they call a downdraft. And oftentimes before a cold front arrives, you can feel a little bit of a chill in the air, you can feel a little bit of a breeze right before it rains, and oftentimes you can maybe even smell the rain coming. And that's because of this downdraft. And so while you have the warm air being forced up, at the same time you have a downdraft that's occurring. We're going to come back and relate this to the Indiana State Fair tragedy a little bit later on. Of course, as that warm air starts to rise, eventually it's going to condense, cool, and fall back down as rain. And so we get those quick, heavy downbursts associated with a cold front. More characteristics of a rather intense cold front is a very much a vertically growing cumulonimbus cloud, what we can see here. One characteristic of a cumulonimbus cloud is it has an anvil shape in which the top actually is almost arrives ahead of the cold front. What happens there is the upper level winds are moving a little faster than they are at the bottom because there's friction with the surface that slows it down, or at the top there's less friction. So what happens is the top of these clouds kind of have this typical characteristic shape in which the top pokes out like that. One of the things we're also going to see once again with cold fronts is heavy rain, and oftentimes hail, which is a dead giveaway that the cold front has arrived. And so the hail typically arrives before the heavy rain.